Demo, just in brief.
Jewel to learn.
Jewel to learn, right. It's a new thing Kelly and I are designing it. We're gonna make enough money and retire early off of it. It doesn't have to work, you just have to want to buy it.
Sounds like all the other technology
Yeah,
we
well,
have.
hey, by the time you discover it, we will have gone on. So that's okay. No, actually, what I'm gonna talk about today and try to show you pieces of is one tool that we only really sort of talked about at the training this past summer, and that is the personalized learning designer functionality. Now, what is that exactly? It's not the dual grader that she had listed there. It's not that at all.
What'd you call
The
personalized?
personalized learning designer. Now, we already have some videos up on our website that sort of walk you through more detail how to do this, so I'm not going to go in every step. I just want you conceptually to see what it is. And if it's something you're interested in, then we'll just work with you individually about it. Now, how many of you were here in the WebCTA? Just you, Mo?
I don't know.
Oh, well, you can, okay.
Oh, I will.
Okay, in the old days, we used something
Wasn't that
that
long ago, David?
Yes, it
feels
was.
like a really long.
It was 1995.
I'm a new guy.
Yeah, that's like 10 years ago.
It was 10 years ago.
That's a long time ago. Your daughter was only a year old, right? So that was a long time ago, right? Yeah. that was
Anyway,
a
he
long
can
time
make you
ago.
feel badly, he'll do it.
Okay, so anyway, basically in WebCT, there used to be a feature called selective release
Right.
that let you control when content was accessible.
Yes, it
by
was so
students.
nice.
Right, okay. Well,
Sorry, David.
in Moodle-
David, can you make the
Yeah.
camera go a little higher? We can't see your head.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm blocking you.
They just see your chest.
You know, what it is, I'm trying to talk to the audience here.
You
too,
don't need
so-
to see his head.
So, okay. You're just gonna get blinded anyway by the white, so let's try not, all you can see is the white hair anyway. That's fine, okay. Anyway, with what Moodle Rooms did, is Moodle Rooms took advantage of two new features that are available in Moodle 2. And one of the features is something called activity completion, and I'm going to show you what these are. And the other one has to do with activity restriction. Now, what are they? Activity completion in the Moodle 2 piece allows you to go in and set it so that when a student completes an activity, one, they can either mark it as being completed, or two, the system can mark it as being completed. Now, what do I mean by the latter thing? When I submit an assignment, the system automatically says David Wong submitted that assignment and checks it off.
And where does that show up?
Well, for the student, it shows up on the home page. For the teacher, it shows up in a report on students, what they completed and what they didn't complete. Now, the Personalized Learning Designer, or the PLD, what they often refer to, uses that functionality in combination with something else called access restriction. The access restriction is another set of functions that allow you to go in and restrict when content becomes available, who it becomes available to, et cetera. What kinds of criteria they might have had to complete to get to that. So the Personalized Learning Designer really is this little interface that the company Moodle Rooms built that connects those two things, activity completion and the access restriction.
Interesting.
So let me show you what it is. So I'm just going to go into this course. There's not much in it. And what you probably can't see it on the screen very well, but it says Lesson 1A restricted, not available until the activity syllabus is marked complete. Now, why did I have that kind of example? Because often some teachers don't want students to be able to move on and start doing the work until they've at least viewed the syllabus.
So, good idea.
Right now, there are certain types of things in Moodle you can set access restrictions for, and certain times you can't. You can't say, I want this student to have read this thing before they can move on. Well, there's no way we know if they read it.
Right.
There's no way a computer can do that. But we can check to see if they've opened it at least, which is really, in a sense, what I did. I set a restriction. I'm just going to talk loud because I'm pointing at the board. You can't see it. Sorry, guys. Where it says lesson 1A restricted, not available until the activity syllabus is marked as complete. What I did is I went in and I said, the syllabus, they had to have opened the syllabus file in order for them to even select it. Because if I'm a student, this is grayed out. The lesson 1A, they can't even select the link on until they've actually opened it.
So for each,
Oh, yeah, okay.
for each individual student then, it's gonna be,
Why don't you use the mouse? Why don't you use the mouse?
it's gonna be,
Yeah, you can use the mouse. Right here. See this right here? This is what I'm talking about for those of you online. You probably can't see it well on your screen, but this is grayed out. Students can't actually select this until they've opened the syllabus. So that's one type of access restriction. There's a question here.
just quickly, so it's programmed for each student, so,
Well, this case is programmed for all students, because you want all the students. I don't want them to,
but you're not gonna wait till all the students have
Right.
used the syllabus
Right.
to open the lesson.
maybe. I mean, I've had a couple teachers that say, absolutely, I don't want them going into the first block of content, week 2 or week 1, until I know they've completed all of these
Everyone's
activities.
completed
But
for
can
one.
can you isolate it to student by student? So once I looked at the syllabus, it opens up for me, but if Lori hasn't looked at it, it
That's
doesn't
correct.
open up for her.
Absolutely,
Okay, good.
yes,
Can you connect it to grading? Like, I have to have graded their first assignment before they can
Yeah.
see the second one?
yes, yes you can. The question was, in case you didn't hear what she said, was, can you set an access restriction so somebody can't go to the next content until the professor has graded the prior content? Absolutely. And Kathy's question was, is it individual? In other words, the setting here where it says you can't get to lesson 1A, that's for per individual. So if Lori doesn't look at the syllabus, she'll never see that link lesson 1A show up. Whereas if Carmen has, she will see that. So watch the screen for a moment. It's just a quick demo. You'll see it. So I'm just gonna switch my role here. Actually, you know what? I'll go in and be a student, a fake student here. Hopefully I won't have to log that in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and be a fake student here. Sorry I'm yelling in here, because I'm gonna make sure they can actually hear. So I'll go in and log in here as this student. So notice, right, that if I click on this as a student, oh, it should let me in there. What did I do there? Okay, well, maybe I didn't set it correctly. But theoretically, right, they have to, oh, I've already gone in as a student.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see the check mark here.
You tested it
I've already
already.
tested with the student. Sorry about that, guys. Let me go back and be another student here instead. So this person's already seen it. They've already gone in there, so let me pick somebody else. That's what we testing here. The wrong person. Let me pick somebody else here. I'm gonna go in and be a different student here. That student had already selected it, so let's pick, this test student here. So now I'm logged in as this test student. Now you can see it's grayed out. They can't get to this link. Once I select this syllabus link and I open the file though, and go back to this page, come on. Something's going on here.
Have to refresh.
Yeah, maybe it's not refreshing.
Don't you hate demoing?
Yeah, it's okay.
This happens in class, too.
Okay, so now here I am as a student, and refresh, take a look. They put a check mark over here saying I've completed this, and now this is actually a link where I can get to the next lesson. Now similarly,
Sorry, that's not me. Sorry.
okay,
Just gotta figure it out.
so whenever you set an activity completion for a resource, like a PDF or PowerPoint or Word doc, or an activity like an assignment or a quiz, it puts these check marks down here. When a student completes them, it actually adds these check marks all the way down. And as the teacher, you decide which things you want to mark.
I like that. That is such great feedback for a student,
I do, too.
because they can't get lost.
Because they can see
They
them
can
when
get
they've
lost.
actually done something,
They
instead
get
of
lost. I
emailing
get
us
lost.
all the
Yeah.
time
You just
saying,
saw I got lost a minute
did you
ago.
see my assignment? It's like, I don't,
Well, it's a visual reminder that, hey, you know, there's some activity going on, look, what you've done, you completed something.
mm-hmm.
Instead of the student feeling so overwhelmed that there's all this information.
Okay.
I mean, you
Some of them
know,
don't feel overwhelmed enough.
That email that Jack sent out yesterday about reading,
Yeah.
I did a handout this morning with students teaching in Kurzweil 3000, and I just kind of listed all the reading that's required in a college environment. Oh my God,
I know.
it's the chalkboard, the whiteboard, the learning management system,
And they're taking pictures like
content,
this.
and the interface, and the e-pack, and the library.
And they don't read any of it.
And the email.
No, but they do say this,
Can you read
tell me
it?
what's important, tell me what's important. will you?
Not yet.
See, she didn't even read.
I haven't had time.
As Jack said, because I responded to my, thanks for the article, he said, there's no greater gift than showing students how to read.
And you know,
That's what Jack said.
No greater gift.
Because I was teaching these.
that doesn't sound like Jack, does it?
That's a big FD.
He had a clone.
I want that to run that and turn it in and see who said that. Who said that?
He had a clone.
It wasn't Jack.
He's got somebody else answering his email. He's a smart guy.
Now, here I am back in the teacher room. Okay, so here's another sort of more sophisticated example of the same thing. You're looking at the teacher view, and I won't point at the board anymore. I forgot, I can't do that. You can't see this very well, but this entire block is hidden. All the activities are hidden until,
You should make that screen bigger. People in the back can't see.
They should have sat in front.
There.
well, now it's gonna be all
There.
boarded.
Well, then it'll be like, for this green.
You don't have to shout. This is a really good,
True student experience here.
We're rubbing off.
Yeah. Hey, we're working our students all.
I want permission to go to the bathroom. Let me go now.
Hey, I don't let you go to the bathroom. You go before class or not at all. That's my rule.
All right, now I'm in the teacher view, and what you can see here is on week 0, I've restricted this entire block here is actually restricted. So if I were to go into the student view, you won't even see this week. And so basically students, I've forgotten the criteria, I think I said, so they actually had to have a quiz score between 50 and 100 to even get to the next block.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I wouldn't necessarily do that, but one common use of something like this is that if you're having tests, you can certainly have students complete a test and based on their performance, give them right to
Keep
an
going.
alternate quiz, maybe because they need some remediation. And
Oh.
only they will see that quiz link.
Oh, interesting.
Now, that's great, because what all this does is differentiate instruction, right?
Wow.
Which is there, everything's been going. The difficulty is it makes it a little more complicated in your grade book,
Yeah, no kidding.
right? Unless you're not counting things, which you can, which of course you can do. So,
But I like it because it automatically opens stuff up, so you don't always have to go in there and be opening, because it automatically opens if you set it to open. Yeah,
you
right?
could, yes, you could. You could set, the only danger in that, and I will tell you, we had this problem in WebTT with selective release, is that when we copied the courses over, the selective release criteria were based on prior dates of the last.
Yeah, you had to go in and redo
I know,
your
I'm just saying
dates,
that people
yeah.
complain
Well,
about
we do that
that.
now all the time anyway, I have
I'm
to
just
redo
telling
all
you,
of our
people did
freaking
complain
dates.
about it, so if you get into that. Now, this selective release criteria, I'm gonna show you where it's set in here. The selective release criteria, they overrule or supersede any rights set by other activities. So if you say a quiz is to open Monday at 8 a.m., but for some reason your access restriction here is set for 9 a.m., the quiz they won't even see the link for the quiz until 9 a.m. So you have to be careful that when you're using activities like assignments, quizzes, where you're actually setting open and closing dates, that if you set an access restriction for it, it doesn't, they coincide. Otherwise, you're going to have trouble. And that we had some trouble with that when people were doing that after the training. They went in, they set additional dates that weren't the same. So there was a problem. And that's, the access restriction supersedes the authority of the other activities. So if you're actually using, if you just want to open a quiz on a certain date, then just set the dates and time. Don't use the access restriction. There's no reason to do that. There's no advantage. Because they still need, they still will need to see the quiz. All it will do is remove the link to the quiz entirely. so you probably don't want to do that.
Right.
So here I am, okay, so how do I set an access restriction? What I do is, I'm just gonna choose this one down here where it says butterfly, I'm gonna turn the editing on, and whether you know it or not, at the bottom of every activity in most resources, when you go into edit, its settings, you will see, I'm gonna expand all here, because I wanna see all these options here. If I scroll to the bottom, here are the two categories. This whole category is for setting access restrictions, and below it is the activity completion.
Yeah, I've seen that, I just didn't know what to do with
Yeah, and
it.
if you don't, when in doubt, don't touch it.
I don't,
If you're
trust
gonna
me.
touch it, it might likely do something you don't want it to do.
I don't.
Earlier, so if I wanted, just to say I didn't want to restrict access, but I wanted students, when they completed it, I wanted it to automatically, because this is an assignment again, just in case you've forgotten. I can show this activity, this is assignment,
That's
when
great.
the students submit it to complete it. But Ellen said, no, I don't want them to have it completed until they receive a grade for it.
Oh,
So she can set that setting, and then it'll only show up as checked when she's graded it.
so that's great, so we can go in now with our Moodle 2
You
classes
can,
and set our assignments so that they have a little check next to it when they've completed it. That's really good.
I like it.
and when Margaret talked about her checklist today, just don't say anything. She's gonna talk about a checklist today. And she has them go in and check stuff, but it doesn't really, she just stays checked it, but it doesn't show up later. She didn't ask us about this, that's why she didn't know, so I'm gonna have to work her
That's why
around
you'll
that.
be there.
Yeah, I will be here today, even though Kenley's there, I will be here. Because Kenley will tell me everything. Okay,
David,
good. All right,
David, I have a question.
yeah, your question.
I like that.
David, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can
Email
hear
me
you.
every time.
Okay,
Ma'am?
I have a question. If you do restrict, can the students see their attempt after the date for the, ends for the, during the restricted dates, can the students see their attempt?
No, I mean, if you, all this would do, okay, now, you're not talking about activity completion, we've moved on to the access restrictions, is that what we're talking about?
Oh,
You're not, yeah, because I'm only talking about this. This just says, did they complete it? Did the teacher grade it? Right, now, they have two options for these things. I'll answer your question in a second again, I think I can answer it.
okay, sorry about that. My timing was a little off.
That's all right, students can manually mark it as being complete, I don't recommend that. Because really, it's better if there's things where you're giving them feedback and grades, that really shouldn't be done once if you want to, unless it's something like a syllabus, which you really can't grade unless you give them a quiz or make them write something, there's really no way to assess that. Those types of resources in Moodle, they can mark off that they read it, but you really don't know that they've read it. So I don't think there's really any advantage. So the activity completion functionality, I think, works best when the system shows that it's being completed. And then into the criteria you can use for this. This last thing, expected completed on, they don't really see that so much. That just shows up in the report when you expected it would be completed by all students. I don't know that there's any real advantage to that. Of course, I don't have anybody really using this yet in Moodle 2, so I don't know.
You gotta have a little pilot group, people use.
Lori, I will make you be on the pilot group.
See, you don't dare to make a suggestion.
Hey, it's my job.
Good job.
I'm gonna try using some of it.
You know what, and right, and we're gonna put an office, because we're right next to Kathy's building.
Good.
In our building for Kathy.
I know, I'm so
Come
excited,
on,
they're
come
moving
on.
right down next to me.
Have like a little shoot.
We'll have a little shoot,
That's
a zip line.
right, I gotta figure out how to get you back up. We have to go back up.
That's the problem.
I don't want people, I don't wanna, whatever.
I'm
Don't get it.
so happy you're moving down next to me.
We aren't even gonna go to the beach regularly now.
Oh, yeah, right. We don't ever get to go to the beach.
Well, don't say that, because you're right, you're even close to the beach. Okay. Here are dates and times. I'm looking at restrict access. I'm talking about the other piece that goes with the learning designer. And that is allowing access. You can set these dates. Now, be careful setting these dates and having them be different. Say if this was an assignment, this probably should match, if you're gonna set it, the date when you make the assignment available. Because if it doesn't, it's, you got this setting will supersede the setting in the assignment tool. So don't use it unless you know for sure that you're gonna need it, especially for those things where you're setting the internal dates within the activity itself. Does that make sense? Back there, does it make sense?
Checking on Twitter.
Yeah, okay. You're giving it, I want to see the back channel here. I want to see what you're saying about, God, we should go on or whatever.
We got a tweeted response.
The release code, I'll show you what that is in a minute. The release code is a little something different. And that's the component that actually comes from the learning designer that works with parts of it. We're not going to go into it until you actually see it. I can set grade conditions, et cetera. So if this were an assignment, I could say that the assignment one, this is not assignment one, this is assignment butterfly, right? It says before they can actually take this butterfly assignment, they have to have at least an 80 and maybe less than 100. So if I set that,
Wow.
then only those students who got within that grade range can actually access this assignment. They'd be the only
On
one.
what?
On this,
So-
This specific assignment, butterfly assignment.
No, they have to get an 80
No, they
to
have to
100
get
on
an 80 on
assignment
assignment
Right.
one before they can
Right.
access butterfly.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Or reading glasses.
Less than, it should be less than or equal, or does it have the functionality of or equal? Let's say someone scores 100%.
Yeah.
So what happens?
Make it 101, okay?
That's what I did. I made it 101. I made it
People
100.
redo it?
Well, usually people do this. If you get less than, right, it must be,
You wouldn't do both, you just.
be less than 70%, right? If you get less than a 70, which means you're gonna get a 69, right? Then you would maybe, if you were giving them remedial stuff, then they'd get the other one. But you're right, no, I put
That doesn't
101.
make sense. What, at least 80, but not less than 70.
No, I'm responding to Mo, no, this is what.
All right.
He's trying to respond with nonsense.
I got several questions, unfortunately, I'm
I'm
only
sorry.
answering one at a time.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Keeps me on my toes, I'll be ready for ITC.
Nothing gets you ready for ITC.
Usually by the time I'm ready to go to ITC, I'm on the bed. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to David? Come on.
Move to adjourn.
Here's where I can actually specify. I can specify and say, I only want somebody with the last name, we'll make, put her on the spot. Right? Only she, of course, I have to get rid of the 70 here, because she would never make anything less than 70, right? Only she, I could set this to only she can act, she would get the butterfly sign.
Okay, so let me ask you
I get rid of the
this
grade condition.
about that.
Yeah.
Because can we also do that, like I have a week for my exam. So occasionally a student does have a legitimate emergency, and I'm going to let them take their exam on the following Monday. So does that mean that I can actually set up the exam, close it for everybody, but open it for her?
I wouldn't do it here. If that's the case, go into the quiz tool, choose the user override, and select her and set the date and time.
Oh, okay.
Right, you could even set that. So for all the other students, it's still the old date and time.
Oh,
But
okay.
for that one student, you granted whatever accommodation you want to call
Yeah,
it.
so that's new in Moodle this year, that we can actually
sir.
do that,
Man,
which is good. So nobody else knows.
nothing coming from there? I'm not seeing anybody here, so I guess it's okay. They went to sleep. It's nap time. Okay, so anyway, these are other things. Now, the only other thing that's sort of important down here is it says, while the access is prevented, you want to show it grayed out with the restriction information, which is what I was showing you earlier. So you
Right.
can't do that. Or do you want to hide it completely?
Completely, right.
The danger with that is, I mean, my opinion is students sort of need to see if there's other activities. Because say you have 10, 15 items in each block.
Right.
if they complete something and now there's 11, they may not notice that you've added something to the bottom of that
And then you
block.
put it in your syllabus and they're cross-referencing, then they're going, hey.
But
Yeah, but my syllabus isn't as detailed as my whole course.
Right.
So I don't put every assignment in my syllabus, but I do put it in my blocks. So it'd be good to have it grayed out so they know that something's about to come.
It's not the dual grader for you guys that came in, since it's the personalized learning designer function, just in case you were hoping it was that, and that was your reason you showed up, just in case.
I don't think anybody came because of that, did they?
Why you raise your hand? Yes, we did, where is it?
Paco, are you pissed because we're not doing the
Okay, good.
dual?
No, really.
Okay, good.
Good, thank you.
What's the rules of what?
You are so honored, Kelly.
Okay, all right, so, now the last piece. How much time do I have left, Janet? Or Kenley?
Just go, just till you're
Well,
done.
I don't want to take other time, okay.
He's got a few more minutes, right, Janet?
She's asleep.
Janet? Janet,
No, she's on mute. We give her a second.
Oh, okay. she's still here?
I would say 10 minutes. No, I left Kathy.
Oh, I'm good, I'm glad you're there, I got worried about you.
No, I'm okay. Okay, so 10 minutes or so, like at 1?
Carol's
Yeah,
on the
that's-
fire, right?
Okay, all right, well, I don't want to run over, nothing's going on, okay. Now, the last piece, this is the personalized learning designer. It's the piece that Moodle Rooms added, that's the company vendor we're with, in case you don't know, added to the plain vanilla Moodle. It was sort of an interface to let you actually access books. So what I'm going to do is quickly create another little assignment here. It could be anything. I'll just call it an assignment. So I'll call this is really the
Koi assignment,
Koi, if I could spell, assignment.
right,
And,
stay awake.
all right, so I'm not gonna, let's see, I'll go ahead and leave these dates set for now. I probably should set them, but I'm not gonna worry about that. What I'm going to do is, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna have to come back to this, because I want to set certain criteria though. In the access restriction, I'm gonna create a release code, and this is just an alphanumeric set of numbers. This isn't the activity that I'm gonna stop people from getting to unless they have other criteria. You know, you'll see here in a minute with this. All this will be really complicated here. Hopefully the number lock works.
Keep it
And type
simple,
number.
that's good, nice and simple.
Nice. Now, this isn't a code that students take a password and enter. The system hands the code off.
Oh,
between you.
interesting.
So they don't have to know any passwords or anything to get in there. Okay, so if I hit save and return to course, which I'm gonna do, I now have this new assignment. Actually, I didn't make it, I didn't set the date. So there's the Koi assignment. So if you guys have been experimenting, which I'm sure you have, whenever you add an activity or resource, when you choose edit, at the very bottom, there is a personalized learning designer option for each activity. Okay? Whether you've seen that or not, it's there.
I haven't seen that.
Well,
How
when we
about-
did the training, the icons were to the right of the link. Now they're hidden here, and so that, they try to make it a little bit easier. That's what this is,
I
right
can't
here.
believe I haven't seen
The
that.
other way to do it is, you have, on your administration block at the very bottom, there's something that says personalized learning designer, and that gets you in here. Now, I happen to have a couple of rules that I've already set up here in order to have it run. So as an example, let me just, starting from the bottom, you can see, I named this rule, do lesson 2 reading first, right? That's what, it can be called anything. I could just call it rule 2. It doesn't really matter, it's just my naming. The students don't see the rule, it's just a rule that I name. Okay, it can be called whatever. And it's based on this sort of logic, that when an event occurs, such as quiz, right? When somebody takes a quiz, submits a quiz, in this case, I said, when a quiz 1 has been reviewed, right, this display alert, it doesn't appear that you reviewed lesson 2 before. Now, I've gone in before and set other criteria so that they had to have read lesson 2 to get to this. But let me just walk you through. Remember, I just created a Koi quiz. So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to choose add a rule here. And the first thing you have are different types of events. And here are all the events. I don't know whether can you see the pull-down menus when I select that? Those of you at a distance, can you see the pull-down menus? Is that showing up on your screen? Okay, I wasn't ever sure, okay. So here are the events that happen. So I can set an event so that when an activity gets completed, like a quiz gets completed, or when an assignment gets completed, certain things happen. When an activity gets graded, I can have it, certain types of things happen.
So the students would see,
They won't see any of the rules, I'm just going to set the rules. So in this case, I have a new assignment, but I'm going to say, I don't want anybody to get to this assignment, I'll make it really simple, until they've completed assignment 1, similar to what I did before, right? I don't want anybody to, so I'm going to choose here, and here are all the ones that are available. So I can say, I'm going to choose, when this occurs, when an activity gets completed, and which activity? It's an assignment type, and it's going to show me all my assignments in this course.
Could it also be a reading, a file opening?
Yes, it could be that, but as we said, there's nothing in Moodle that can say where they actually read it, they can only open the
Open,
file.
yeah, I know.
Right. So I'm going to say at this point, the event is, anytime assignment 1,
guaranteed, watching the eyes.
Right.
I'm going to call this,
Monitoring brain activity.
They were little cats. It'll come to that.
okay, so that's the first part of it. Now, the next thing is I can set the specific conditions about this. Right, if I don't set the conditions, the rule fires no matter what. So I'm just going to show you. I'm going to choose the next conditions tab here. So I can set the condition. I can say anytime that this activity is completed, or if I had a grade range, say you only wanted students who got above a 90, I don't know, you may have some reason for that. You could do that. Okay, activity is completed.
Yeah. That's
All right, that's what I care about, so I'm going to add that, and I can come back and change this. So here I'm going to have to, they want me to select a specific activity. So I'm going to select assignment. It could be something else, though. Notice I could have it where they had to complete a quiz.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to choose assignment.
Or a forum.
All right, or forum. I'm going to say, at this rate, they had to have completed assignment 1 before they can get to the COI assignment. That's all that we're doing here. Does that make sense so far? Anybody lost? No?
We're good.
Anybody lost? Well, maybe.
Well, we're lost, but not about this.
Okay. And so the last thing I'm going to set is the action. What do I want to happen? I can send an alert. I can go to an activity. I can unlock a release code. And that's what I chose, is because I added a release code. Unfortunately, you'll see here in a minute, and I've already used this release code before. So
It didn't
if
go.
you use a release code, actually I do, I have it in here. If you have a release code on something and you've used it before, the students have already been granted access. If you use the same release code, the content's going to be released, or the same trigger is going to fire, because they've already gotten the access to that release code. So I'm going to give a different release code and go back and change it. Let's make this 98765. All right, I'm just going to save that, and then hit save. Okay, so now, here's my new rule that's right here. I'm going to go back to my assignment, that new assignment I made, and change the release code that I had in there. I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. So if you
Well,
go
why
down
do you
here.
have to change it? We haven't released it yet.
Because I'm already using it, and I've already used it in this class.
For
I can't use it
for
twice.
another assignment?
Yeah, every release code needs to be unique.
I get that, but I didn't think you actually released anything else.
No, I won't, but I might have been playing around with it, just,
Oh, okay.
demonstrating it, so we'll see. So let me go in here, I'm just gonna change in this access restriction here. 965, no, that's it.
9876.
98765. There you go.
Numbers are dangerous. Use a word like help.
Okay, so now if I were to go into Learning Designer here, I got 2 minutes. What you're gonna see is, I'd already used it here.
Oh, okay.
you know, and I've already been playing with this one, so some
Right.
of the students wouldn't get to do that. So in this case, so I'll go in, I'm gonna be a student, I won't be able to get to this COI assignment until I submit assignment 1, and then the next one will show up. So I'll go in here, hopefully I've done this right. So here it is, you can see that I'm down here, you guys can see it says not available until you get a particular release code. So let me go in here and be a student.
So you know what the students are gonna be asking us is, what's the release code?
Well, right,
So it needs to say something else.
I can't change the language
Like-
of it.
This will be released when you've done something, because they're gonna, they're, oh.
I appreciate that, I did.
They're gonna be emailing us about the release code. Never mind, I'm sorry.
No, you're right, no, you're right, they'll ask you.
Kathy, it was one thing I decided to do now when I get questions that are answered in the syllabus, instead of saying, will you avoid, it's in the syllabus, I phrase the question and ask, where do you think you would find that information? Just to have the satisfaction of hearing them say, in the syllabus?
Yeah, right.
Or you could do what I did, which is I give I subtract the points from their total score every time they ask me a question that's in the syllabus.
Oh.
They learn very quickly the syllabus.
Oh.
I was saying, I wonder if it's in this one.
But I think this will work very well,
I guess,
not allowing
you have
access
to,
until
you
they're
notice
ready
what
to.
you subtracted.
Well, it doesn't say read, but you don't have to actually read it, all I have to do is open it up, there's no test for reading.
Or find the access code.
Yeah, yeah.
There's an idea.
So, Dave, can this be used with voice board activities or
It's meant for discussion boards.
discussion board?
No, he's talking about the voice board. Probably for certain
The
things,
website stuff, yeah.
probably, yeah, we'd have to try it. We'll try it next time you wanna look at it.
And another question, Dave, if we do build up, to me this is great because you could you can organize assignments in a way that could be sequential. And students cannot jump from one place to the other. Does this survive one semester to the other? I mean, if I go through the trouble of building
You missed
it.
that part.
Oh,
It
You have to
doesn't
reset
change,
the
you
date.
have to reset all your dates,
You
just
have to
like
go
you
and
do
change the
now.
date.
How would they know what dates to put in for the next semester?
yeah.
You
Because
just go
that's
and
tied
change
to
the date.
date. This is tied.
It's tied to dates, the release is tied to a date, like
Mhm.
release this assignment, or it's actually tied on the completion of an assignment, but the assignment has a date on
Just
it.
like every assignment does.
Yeah, we have to redo all of our
Yeah.
Oh, but I changed, yes, I changed
You
the
change the
date.
date on the assignment
Anyway.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, the concern is if I have to go and establish this condition every single semester.
Right, well, the danger is if you change the name of an assignment, or say you deleted an assignment, but you had the release set to, because assignment 1, it had been submitted, but you no longer have assignment
Assuming
1.
everything's the same.
Yeah, assuming the assignment's
You just have to go
exactly
in
the
and change your
same.
assignment due date.
You
Right.
don't have to go in and also change your access data, do you?
The restriction codes and all that.
I don't think so, no, I've not rolled the course over with these, because none of you are using it.
He's looking for beta testers.
Well,
Did that
Lori, I
say
think it was
pilot?
Lori who said that.
I can see it in the future. In
You
the
can see it?
Near future,
We'll
yeah.
test it, because some of us will use it,
it.
we can use it, and then when we roll it over, we'll see how it screws everything
Well, we can do
up.
it now, I can roll it over, but what I don't know is, what I said earlier, before you came in, the danger was people would set release criteria like this, and then the next semester have forgotten that they did it, because they did it for a specific reason, like they wanted to give Mo extra 3 days to do the assignment.
To
And
motivate.
then forgot, but that's the criteria, but he's no longer in the class, so nobody sees it. I mean, that's the kind of danger about the individualization of it, but yes, you can differentiate. I mean, you can certainly release content. New content can't be seen until prior content's been completed or they've got a certain grade. But Kathy's right, you probably will get students that say, what is that release code? Don't I need a password? What is the password? Let me in, let me in. And you say, no, I'm sorry, here's the PayPal number. With the number, when you hit the right number, you're good to go.
David, I think we probably should move on to the next topic, but did you want to show us anything about what you just uploaded, or?
Right, well, I probably didn't set something here correctly, it works, I
Oh.
just haven't, but I've run out of time anyway, so that's why I was trying to. But if you're interested in this, let us know, let's work with you individually first, before you
Yeah, I'd
start
like to
burying
try.
your stuff. Do things simply, try one activity.
Yeah, I just like the idea that they have a checkbox when they finish something. I mean, I think that's great.
That's good.
That's really,
It's a nice visual.
yeah.
Now, I haven't looked, you can supposedly get a activity completion report that will actually show what stuff that they've done.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with the new grade book and the reports. I'm really struggling.
What happened to that?
Step backwards, hold on.
You didn't like it? You left? Okay.
I think he was kind of
All
frustrated.
right, sorry about that, man.
Frustrated.
He was
Great
not.
It might have been, you
He
never
was
know.
just, yeah, pissed because you didn't do the